The NFC South Fantasy Football Preview and Best Bets edition of Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with OFF SGPN to claim your special pick plus a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. $250, UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFF SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old-fashioned football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old-fashioned football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. My mouse was not cooperating. That's why I had you order me a new one. If you're wondering who you're listening to, this is J Mark. You can find me on the X at J Mark Football, and us is at Old Fashioned FB. Before I keep going to talk about the NFC South Fantasy Football Preview and Best Bets, I got to introduce my co-host on the pod and in life. You can find her on the X at the Mark Murr. How you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. I feel like our camera, something changed with the camera settings, so I'm trying to get adjusted to it. I just feel like I was like this all of a sudden. So if you're over on YouTube, you just got a real close look at my face, I feel like. I'm not sure what happened there. But anyways, this is our third of 8 division previews. I know we said third of 8 last time.
We're just jumping right in.
Oh, well, go on. What would you like
I
to
was
lead
going to
with?
say, this won't be a problem once we're set up with the brass draft.
Yes, that is true. We need to get on that. It's time has been the issue there. But
And your close-up face is all flushed, red, and sweaty.
it's warm out today.
We were in the garden right before this.
We were in the garden. Anyways, this is our third of 8 division previews. These are a little different than last year because we're talking ADP, AAV, and of course, we're doing a little bit of best bets as well. We talked NFC North with RD last Thursday. If you didn't check that out, go check it out. It was a lot of fun. We also did NFC West now 3 weeks ago, I believe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yes.
with Rod and Nick. And my face is also a little flushed because I was running around right before we started the pod, spatchcocking a chicken, which if you don't know what that means, it's not a dirty thing. Don't worry.
I can't believe how many people we talk to, because we both are in jobs where we are more remote. And so people like on let's just call it what it is, the West Coast.
Yeah.
Never have heard of spatchcocking a chicken.
I don't get it either. It's a fairly common thing here. At least I think it is. But anyways, I was spatchcocking a chicken and I was getting it on the green egg, a smoker. And, smoked meats just reminds me of the South. And that's what we're talking about, the NFC South.
So you planned this? Are you trying to tell me you planned this? You did not plan this.
Along.
No, you didn't.
Oh.
You didn't know you were spatchcocking until this morning.
And we're doing what do they eat in Philadelphia? What are those big sandwiches that they eat?
And the cheesesteak?
The cheesesteak, a Philly cheesesteak. We're going to be making those Thursday. Okay, maybe not.
We're not. No cheesesteaks on Thursday.
The NFC South, those teams.
Yeah, we've got
are shit. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We've got the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bucs, and the Saints.
The Panthers, the Falcons, who should be improved, right? Saints, no idea. Bucs, can they repeat the magic? But also, hello to the chat. Hey, Jamie, how's it going? Welcome. Talking
hello
NFC South that nobody likes. But before we talk about it, got to let you know that we're on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And they have a ton of shows. We're obviously Old Fashioned Football, but they got a ton of shows. And make sure to check out our new daily podcast dedicated to giving out underdog picks. You know, we love underdog. It's called The Daily Dog. It's 10-minute episodes dropping Monday through Friday in The Daily Dog, wherever you get your podcasts. It's a great show. And also the Circa announced that they're doing their $16 million in guaranteed prizes for the Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. You can sign up in Vegas, but play from anywhere with footballcontestproxy.com. Promo code SGP to get $50 off. That's footballcontestproxy.com. Promo code SGP. And
we need to get out to the Circa. We just had a friend who was at the
Yes.
Circa and told us all about it. And I was like, we're supposed to get out there.
we are. This is bothering me. I'm moving us back a little bit there.
Okay.
That's a little better, I think. Yeah, I agree. We need to get out of the out to the Circa. We heard that even the slots were good there, but that the pool with all the TVs, everything,
swim up pool that you can bet from.
Yes, sports bets, and it's got sports. And then they have that lounge kind of room where it's like stadium seating, but they're tables in stadiums, and then there's just so many different TVs where they got all sorts of different sports on. I believe our buddy Josh was even saying that they had sumo wrestling on one of them. I don't know if you can bet sumo wrestling, but
where does sumo? Where is that
interesting.
taking place? Where are people sumo wrestling?
Japan is my guess. I don't know.
Like, is
Aren't
that
they
really like a legit thing?
Have you never seen sumo wrestling?
Never watched it.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Wow. I have
didn't
no
realize
words.
like that's a current legitimate thing that happens.
Oh yeah.
Like right now.
There was a recent clip where a sumo wrestler was going up against one of the top defensive rushing guys, defensive linemen from recent, and that defensive lineman could not move him. And it sparked the conversation that could sumo wrestlers play on the offensive line? Because I mean, the whole sport is based on, keeping your ground, low center of gravity. Don't let that guy get by you. Don't let him push you around. That's the offensive line.
Sumo wrestling.
I can't believe you don't know that this is like a legit sport.
I have to not warn everybody. I have to warn myself. Like, I know where my night is headed now. By the end of the night, you are going to be pulling up clips of sumo wrestling and making me watch
100%. Why don't we kick off talking about these teams and the players on them?
Let's
start with the worst one from last year.
The Panthers.
Okay. Yes.
Fine. Let's break it down. Start with the quarterback position. We've got Bryce Young. Last year, he brought in 166.4 fantasy points. He didn't have any top 5 finishes. He's currently going at an ADP of 28 for quarterback and an AAV of $1. And last year, he was QB 23, so he's like 5 spots back right now in the draft. He really wasn't a good year for him last year. They did get him more weapons.
Yeah.
But do we feel that we can really trust Bryce Young?
I mean, I don't. I said from the beginning that I didn't think he was going to be a successful NFL quarterback. Before the draft, everything. I said that. I was on record saying, Panthers, what are you doing? Don't draft him. But they did anyways. He's undersized. And he had some moments towards the end of last year where you're like, okay, maybe this is the guy they saw and they wanted to draft. But he still averaged 10 points a game. That's not good in fantasy football. No. Even in a super flex. I mean, you could find somebody else in a PPR league that's a wide receiver or running back that's going to get you 10 points a game. That's not, in that super flex spot. So
if you're in a super flex league though, if he is going at QB 28, I mean, you're drafting more than 2 quarterbacks in a super flex.
Yeah, true.
So would you draft him at that $1, or who would you look around him?
Well, so the QB 28 is interesting because he finished 23 last year.
So
I don't
with
think
weapons,
he's going to get worse.
They see him.
I don't think he gets worse.
You don't think he gets worse? You think he still comes in around QB 23?
I think he's got to be around that range. But yeah, I don't know. I'm staying away either way. Whether it's for $1 or whether it's 28.
He's an undersized quarterback and he struggles.
Yeah, he did struggle. So I'm not a Bryce Young fan.
He's a fun-sized quarterback.
He's a fun-sized quarterback, which some smaller quarterbacks have had success. I mean, Drew Brees, Doug Flutie. I mean, those are smaller guys, but I don't think Bryce Young is that talent level. He's an Alabama quarterback that ran the same offense as Mac Jones, finished with a worse record and did worse statistically for Alabama. And look at how Mac Jones has done. He's a backup quarterback now. So sometimes those Alabama quarterbacks, they just can't pan out in the NFL.
Damn Alabama quarterbacks.
I know. Let's talk about their shiny rookie running back.
Let's do. You didn't tell me though. Maybe you don't know
What?
who you would take like around that spot over him.
Yeah. So I'm pulling up the ADPs at quarterback right now. Because I didn't expect you to ask me that. I thought we would say Bryce Young sucks and move on.
No, if I'm in a super flex, I want to know who I'm taking as my third QB.
So underneath Bryce Young by one spot is JJ McCarthy. If you didn't see
would take a gamble on that.
Yeah, if you didn't see June Jones on the main show, go check out their interview that they did with June Jones. But he mentioned that he thought JJ McCarthy was going to be the most successful quarterback in this draft. That's over Caleb Williams. He mentioned he thought Caleb Williams was going to struggle some. Below him, also Dan Jones. I would take Dan Jones over Bryce Young, even though I don't like Dan Jones.
He's back to Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Right ahead, this is interesting. ADP right ahead of Bryce Young is Justin Fields. 3 spots below Bryce Young.
QB 20 or QB 27.
27. 3 spots below at QB 30 is Russell Wilson, even though Russell Wilson's supposedly the starter.
Honestly, though, if he doesn't, that to me tells me people think Fields is gonna get that spot, and if he does, like he's gonna do way better than Russ would.
Fantasy football wise, anyways, because he's going to run. No, I agree. Other names right around there: Drake May, Bo Nix. I like both of them.
I'm still liking the JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so let's talk about running back. Jonathan Brooks. He obviously no points last year. He's a rookie, so no top 5 finishes. But his ADP right now is RB31 with an AAV of $19. Everyone thought Jonathan Brooks was going to be drafted by the Cowboys.
Yeah,
he was coming off of that like ACL. Jeez.
ACDC?
No, I was going to say ACA.
Oh.
But it's an ACL tear and surgery. And, he was cleared by doctors and should be healthy. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts here? He's competing. Sorry, I asked you what your thoughts are, but then I'm going to tell you more.
Okay. Tell me more. Tell me more.
He's competing with, Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, and I think he beats those guys out. Miles Sanders was a bust last year. I was heavily invested. I shouldn't say heavily invested. In auction leagues, I got him for like $2 or $3, and I was shocked I got him so low. But turns out he was a bust, so it was wasted money. Chuba Hubbard was mediocre at best last year. So I think Jonathan Brooks, as long as he's healthy and ready to go, he takes over this backfield right away. Maybe it takes him a couple weeks before he's fully healthy or fully has the lead, but I do like him. But $19 for a rookie that I know he was cleared. We still don't know if he can do a full workload though. Seems slightly high on a team that they didn't have a lot of success last year. Slightly high in my opinion.
Yeah, but
RB31 I like.
I do agree with that spot.
Why is the 31st projected running back costing $19? That makes 0 sense to me.
I don't have answers for
I know you don't, but it's one of those things that doesn't make sense. While we're talking about running backs, I wanted to answer a question in the chat real quick from 314 Skip to Malou. Bijan said, and we're going to talk about Bijan, but he said he's going to be used like CMC. I've seen quotes from the coach saying we need to get him the ball as much as possible. He has new coaching staff there. Do I draft him over CMC and Breece Hall in a full PPR draft? Now, also, breaking news, CMC on the cover of Madden, of the new Madden, and there is the Madden curse is a real thing. It seems like whoever's on the cover that year struggles that year. So there is that if you're superstitious. I'm still taking CMC. A little, you're not superstitious, but just a little stitious. Shout out to The Office. I'm still taking CMC. But I do like Bijan over Breece Hall.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Bijan, I still see Bijan is going to be
I love Breece Hall. but I think Bijan's going to get used more. And Jets did draft another running back to kind of get some of the carries. They also have Aaron Rodgers, who's going to want to throw the ball. So I do like, for me, it's CMC if I'm sitting at the first spot. If I'm sitting at the second spot, it's Bijan. You as well?
I do agree with that.
Okay. We don't normally agree, so.
No, we don't. Especially on Bijan.
Jamie agrees with this, though.
Mhm.
He's taken Bijan over Brees, but not CMC. So same thing there. And right now, ADP-wise, Bijan is going one spot below Brees. So if you're sitting at the third spot, you might get lucky and Bijan falls to you, and he could still end up putting up the top RB numbers. So
I think he's going to.
Let's talk about these wide receivers.
All right. We've got Deontay Johnson, who brought in 127.2 points last year. I don't think he had any top 5 finishes.
No.
His ADP right now is wide receiver 38 at an AAV of $1. And last year he was wide receiver 43. So we're moving him up 5 spots this year.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say new team, different quarterback.
Because they traded him from the Steelers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think you could end up being a PPR machine?
I do. We saw Adam Thielen have several good games last year where he didn't necessarily, some of them he had the yardage there, but mostly it was passes. He was catching 10 to 12 passes on short little yardage. I think Deontay Johnson, even though Adam Thielen's still there, he's getting old. I think Deontay Johnson kind of starts taking that over.
You mentioned his age, and you know what I got to do now.
I think he's 33, but go ahead and check that out.
You think that's old?
I think that's old for a wide receiver.
I think it's old for a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's 34.
He's gonna be. He's a 1990s baby.
Well, so are you.
I know.
So you are older than Adam Thielen. How does that make you feel?
By a couple months.
I'm going to be in so much trouble for that after the podcast. I'm really torn on Deontay Johnson. In a PPR league, I like him. I think he does very well in a PPR league. In a non-PPR league, I think they have a lot of weapons. They have Deontay Johnson. They have Adam Thielen. They brought in Xavier Legette. They're trying out UFL Hakeem Butler, the offensive player of the year, Hakeem Butler, who is a beast. They drafted a tight end who we're going to talk about, Jatavion Sanders. So I don't know, non-PPR, I don't think I'm in on Deontay, but PPR I am.
Yeah, and just one other thing, like throwing out there, like he was wide receiver 43.
Yeah.
On the Steelers.
Right.
You know, with Trubisky.
Yeah.
And Pickett throwing to him.
So you got to ask yourself, is Bryce Young better than them? My thoughts exactly. Like,
I thought I was making a good point here, but no.
Yeah, no, I think Bryce Young will be slightly better than they had.
Hopefully he improves. I don't know. I still think I'm not getting a piece of that.
Yeah.
For Young.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
All right, but you would take Deontay Johnson for $1?
For $1, I think I'd throw $1 out there. Yeah, for sure.
Throw $1 at him.
Yeah,
just one.
Not multiple.
All right, we've got up next Xavier Legette.
I know. Remember our clip from Xavier Legette?
Yes.
Love this dude.
I know you do. So right now he's being drafted at an ADP of wide receiver 64 at an AAV of $1. Obviously, it's going to be $1.
Yeah.
If we're going that deep. And then last year at South Carolina, he had a play where he hit 22.3 miles per hour, which is like the fastest speed in football that year.
Yeah.
Including the NFL.
Which is crazy because he's not a little dude. He's 6'1". And that was at South Carolina, like you said.
That's crazy to me.
It is.
And I don't know. I feel like this is like maybe a sleeper. Like if I'm filling up my roster and I've got a couple spots left, wide receiver 64, that's pretty deep in the league. Even in auction, like that's when people are probably just throwing up players. I would do it.
Yeah. 100%.
For that and just stash it, like to see.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me. Like when you have that kind of ability. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. It might have been Cody Zeeb that said it was like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett had a baby, and that was Xavier Legette. And I kind of see that as flashes. I mean, you think of like DK Metcalf, the clip where he ran down the cornerback that intercepted the ball, even though he's a big physical freak. Then you think of Legette, 22.3 miles per hour, kind of the same thing, but more of like Lockett's size at the 6'1". I can tell you, I've drafted him in a lot of best ball drafts. I've drafted him in dynasty drafts. I will draft Xavier Legette probably higher than wide receiver 64. I will spend the dollar. Most of our leagues are keeper leagues, so I bet he might creep a little higher than that. But I mean, other guys going ahead of him, Quentin Johnston. I'm not in on Quentin Johnston. He had a terrible rookie season last year. Dontavian Wicks. We just talked to RD where Wicks is going to have a week here and there, but it's Watson, Reed, and Dobbs show. So why would I draft Wicks over that? Jerry Jeudy in Cleveland. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything at Cleveland. I mean, those are all guys that I would take Legette ahead of, but they're going ahead. Well,
and
Legette.
Especially like you said in the keeper dynasty leagues, like I feel like that's a really good pickup for $1. And like in our keeper leagues, like if he's just starting and we know he has talent. In a couple of years at $1, contracting him. Yeah. Like I would do it.
And Jamie pointing out that Bryce Young only averaged 3.5 or 3.5 deep passes a game with a 22% completion rate. Math doesn't add up to fantasy points for Legette downfield ability. I agree with that, but you got to think Bryce Young's going to take at least a little bit of a step forward, don't you? Just a little.
To what, wide receiver 22?
No,
or not wide receiver.
Yeah,
quarterback 22.
I'm trying to remember
QB 23 last year.
Yeah. I just think he might perform better with those long passes, and they're gonna try to get Legette involved. I mean, they drafted him with that second-round draft pick, so I think they're gonna work to get him involved. Let's talk about the old balls on the team.
Old balls. He has younger balls than you, Adam.
Shots fired. This is what I get for pointing out that you're older than him.
All right. Adam Thielen brought in 179.5 fantasy points last year with 3 top 5 finishes. His ADP is wide receiver 65, going right under Legette. His AAV is $1, and he came in at wide receiver 25 last year.
He had some good games.
He's getting drafted 40 spots lower than where he finished last year.
Yeah.
And I do have to think that part of that is his age, his old balls, as you're saying.
And Deontay Johnson being there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might be a little low for Adam Thielen. He's still a good competitor.
I was going to say, he's still competitive. So, like, would you be drafting him at $1? So you couldn't get Legette. Around those other guys you mentioned, would you take Thielen over them?
I would consider it. I'd rather have Deontay Johnson or Legette on the team, but yeah, I'd consider it. Also, to point out, Bryce Young may be really bad this year. Maybe they decide to throw in his backup, the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, who
he can get shit done.
He can get some shit done. That's true. All right, let's talk about their tight end.
All right, we've got Jatavian Sanders. Did I say that right?
Jatavian.
Jatavian.
Now you're changing it.
I'm like changing it all, switching it all up. I need to check myself. All right, he's got an ADP of tight end 29 with an AAV of $1. I honestly don't think he's going to be relevant enough to draft. Despite the fact that he is talented, I'm not saying he's not talented, but maybe in deep, keeper dynasty leagues, you get him for $1. Fine. Obviously, you're not paying more than $1 for him. But.
Yeah. He's a guy where if there's nobody else I like in a dynasty rookie draft, and there is a spot for where you can put your rookies on the not on the bench but the taxi squad, then I might take a flyer and say, okay, he can ride the taxi squad, so he's not taking up a bench spot, and maybe he turns into something in a year or two. But I don't know. I really don't have a lot of interest, especially when we just talked about the quarterback situation. If I'm hesitant on guys like Deontay Johnson, with Bryce Young throwing to them, then I don't want the tight end at all, you know?
Mhm.
So, all right. Before we move on to other teams, let's talk a little underdog fantasy.
All right. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. You can create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win. Wow. You can still win that entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. And the best part is you can win up to 325 times your original amount. That's right. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries.
Yeah, and keep an eye out because they've been doing, we're Iowa fans. They've been doing a lot of Caitlin Clark specials. There was one on Saturday where if she scored over half a point, she's going to do that. So keep an eye on those because they drop them randomly, and don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. I did a pick 8 for UFL and CFL, and notice it says you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry, and I missed 3. So, which is just how it seems to go for me.
Fail.
But that means I got 5 out of 8. Not so bad. I should have just pulled my expectations down a little bit. Just go to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's a lot of bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN. All right. We are back, and we're going to talk about the Saints.
All right, let's talk about these Saints. We've got Derek Carr, who brought in 249.1 points last year with 2 top 5 finishes. His ADP is QB 25 with an AAV of $1. He last year came in at QB 16, so he slid back 9 spots.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Derek Carr, like he's still their guy.
He is.
Despite not being that great last year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd take him over Bryce Young, and he's being drafted behind Bryce Young. Oh no, Bryce Young's at 28. He finished 23.
Yeah,
last year.
so
You're right.
I would take I would take Carr over Young.
Yeah, 100%. Agree with that. He's
yeah.
going he's going behind Will Levis. I don't know if I trust Will Levis either. He's going right ahead of Justin Fields. I think that makes sense because we know he's going to start. I don't know. Looking at these names ahead of him, Geno Smith, Will Levis, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford. I guess there's not a lot of those guys I would take Carr over.
No. But when you're looking at, I don't know. So then I think he's right where he should be then.
Yeah.
Do you think he's right where he should be at QB 25?
Yeah. I think
if it's a super flex league, I mean, Carr still has talent.
Yeah.
He can still put up enough points to be relevant.
Well, he did have 2 top 5 finishes last year. I mean,
is that going to continue?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they didn't get worse on offense, I don't feel like. Chris Olave is still a beast that's uncoverable. So, I mean, I still think the potential is there.
And I would throw $1 at him.
Oh, for sure.
Ready to move on to running back?
Let's do it.
All right. These first two quarterbacks are just not exciting.
No. Well, that's the NFC South, though. It's just not very exciting.
No.
I think last year, 2 teams were 8-9, one was 9-8, and the Panthers won 3 games. I mean, yeah.
All right. We've got at running back Alvin Kamara, who brought in 195.5 points in fantasy last year. He had 2 top 5 finishes. He's currently going around an ADP of RB17 with an AAV of $26. And last year he finished as RB14, but he missed 4 games. I don't know what my thoughts on Kamara right now. Like he's getting older. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, go for it.
Okay. And that concerns me a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to call him old balls. Is he 34, 33, 34? Because apparently that's
I don't think he's that old yet.
The qualifier for old balls.
Right. But he still finished RB14 and missed 4 games.
Yep.
So he still has those big game potential.
Yeah, and that with that ranking, like that's 15 points a game and half PPR.
Yeah.
So he is like a decent RB2 target.
Yeah.
If you think he can keep that production, keep that, sustain it.
Stay healthy, not commit any crimes,
And then you've got to look at like Kendre Miller.
Yeah. I do think they want to get
that.
Kendre Miller more involved. But I still I'm not going to fade Alvin Kamara yet, personally. I still think if you get him at the RB2 price, I still think he's going to have some good games. Yeah.
He's 29.
See, so he's not old balls yet. He's not over the hill yet.
No.
Jamie's saying back to Jatavion Sanders, he'd only pay 50 cents, and that still might be an overpay, and throw $1 at him like you're at a strip club. Love it. I'm in on Alvin Kamara. I would draft him as my RB17 because that's you're looking at RB2. That's right ahead of Aaron Jones. It's right behind Isaiah Pacheco, Kenneth Walker, and Joe Mixon. Those are some good running backs to be behind, but I'm always out on Chiefs running backs, so I would take Kamara over Isaiah Pacheco personally. I know the Chiefs can move the ball. I know they can put up points. I just tend to avoid Chiefs running backs. So,
yeah. Can I talk about Kendra Miller?
Yes, you can. You pulled up on your computer over there, Alvin Kamara, to look at his age, and the photo and like kind of right in the middle of the screen. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's him going. And it just, I keep seeing it out of the corner of my eye. So if you could remove that, please.
I think I'm just going to make it bigger. This is going to be my background now, just for you.
Talk about Kendra Miller.
All right. Last year, he brought in under 40 fantasy points, 36.9. No top 5 finishes.
He did miss 9 games. Be nice to the guy.
That's only half the season.
They had Alvin Kamara. They didn't.
I know. So his ADP right now is RB 44. He came in at RB 71 last season. And again, like you said, he missed those 9 games. His AAV is $1. He had a lot of hype last year that he didn't live up to. Of course, though, he missed 9 games, but that means he was still here for 9 games.
Yeah.
And he averaged 4 points a game.
Yeah, I do think they'll get him more involved because Kamara is getting older. He's going right ahead of guys like Ty Chandler on Minnesota, who I think is going to split the workload with Aaron Jones. So I would take Ty Chandler. Marshawn Lloyd at Green Bay. We talked with RD how they want to get him involved. I think I would take him over Kendra Miller. But Chuba Hubbard going behind him, I'd rather have Kendra Miller to see if he pans out. Guys going ahead of him are guys like Jalen Wright for the Dolphins, their rookie. That's such a crowded backfield. We've talked about how crowded that backfield is. I think I would rather have Kendra Miller than Jalen Wright. I think Wright has more talent, but just the situation of how crowded that backfield is with Moser, Achane. I'm blanking on the other running back, Wilson.
Yes, sorry. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know. I would take, Anyways, so we're talking about their wide receivers.
Let's do.
Okay.
I'm goofing off. Sorry.
Quit goofing off over there.
Trying to like blow up that face, and I'm trying to send it to you. It's just not working.
You just worry about that later. They do have a wide receiver that I would 100% draft.
Chris Olave.
They also have a wide receiver you really like.
Well, no,
you did last year.
I had a moment last year where I really liked Rashid Shaheed.
You don't anymore.
Well, he wasn't reliable enough for me.
Okay, that's fair.
I thought he was going to be, and I got excited because I saw like sparks of him being like really relevant. But what?
Chris Olave, 0 top 5 finishes. Rashid Shaheed 1.
I know, and that was where I was like, ooh, I was excited, and I grabbed him.
Look at my new shiny toy.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about Olave first.
Let's do. He brought in 187.8 fantasy points. Like we said, no top 5 finishes. His ADP right now is wide receiver 11 with an AAV of $23, and that just seems wrong. Hold on a moment.
We're both trying to move the mouse.
Because who is going? Hold on 1 second.
What are you looking for?
Maybe it's not. I don't know. Just never mind.
All right.
He is going for that.
Mouse control.
What?
I said, give me mouse control.
I just felt like $23 for wide receiver 11 seemed low.
It does seem low.
It doesn't seem right, but it is what it is. And last year's rank, He came in at wide receiver 19. So he's moving up 8 spots. I know he only had, 11-ish, 11 to 12 points per game last season. But yeah, he finished as wide receiver 19. He was very consistent.
Yeah, he was.
Despite having Derek Carr throw to him.
Right. And I think he's wide receiver 1 on his team.
Mm-hmm.
He's being drafted as a wide receiver 1 if you're in a 12-person league. And I still think he deserves it. He seemed matchup proof. Even when the Saints looked bad, he looked good. Guys going ahead of him, Marvin Harrison Jr. Are you going to trust?
Marvinson.
Are you going to trust a rookie who has Kyler Murray, who's had an up and down career, over proven Olave? Garrett Wilson going ahead of him. Are you going to trust Aaron Rodgers to stay healthy? Even though I will say Garrett Wilson has been pretty good no matter who the quarterback is. But I would take Olave. I know it's not a huge leap, but I would take him up at least 1 spot at wide receiver 10.
You would take him at what?
I would take him over Marvinson.
We haven't done our rankings yet.
No.
Is he your wide receiver 10?
He might be. We're going to have to dive into that, but I'm not
you
locking
You said you would take him at wide receiver 10.
All right. I'll write it down so
that
I know.
Basically means when you break
Chris
out
Olave, top 10 wide receiver.
Okay.
Write it down.
You don't get to throw words out there and then not be held accountable.
Or do I?
Dun.
This dual mouse control that we're trying to do is not working well for us.
Sorry. You have a comment over there? Okay. All right. Should we talk about Rashid?
Let's talk about your guy.
I know. Do not coin him as my guy.
Coin him?
Coin him? Is that the right term?
I think it works, but an A.T. Perry might be relevant as well instead of Shaheed. I have no idea what that offense is going to look like behind Chris Olave. But anyways, Jamie pointing out, if you're in a league that does do points for return yards, Shaheed finished as a top 24 wide receiver. So like in your Scott Fishbowl type leagues, big value.
Yeah. So he finished 24 last year in that type of league, because in just half PPR, he came in at 42.
Yeah.
So that's a huge difference and something to think about. And we don't really look at players like that, but that's interesting.
We do not reward that. We reward touchdowns for special teams, but not yardage.
Not the yardage. So last year in half PPR leagues, he came in with 132.6 fantasy points, 1 top 5 finish. His ADP is wide receiver 58 with an AAV of $1. So, I mean, we already alluded to the fact like he did have like some good games in that 1 top 5 finish, which is what gave me some initial excitement about him. It died down pretty quickly because he just became somebody who I moved to my bench.
One thing I would point out though, Chris Olave, who I'm excited about, had 11.7 points per game. Rashid Shaheed 8.3. That's not that far behind. 3 a game.
So that's the average. Yes, if you break that down, but he was not pulling in 8 points a game.
You're right. He was a boomer bust type of guy. I do think
he was not consistent.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is gone. That experiment is over. I know he was on and off the field. So I think Rashid Shaheed may get involved some more, but I mean, at $1, I'm definitely taking him. And
to sit on your bench and not know. I mean, if you see consistency, we saw a little bit of consistency
and
last season, and then it was just nothing. Like not nothing, but you couldn't rely on him. He was a bench holder.
He's dropped down to wide receiver 61 behind a guy like Jahan Dotson for the Commanders, who
he's dropped down already.
Yeah, I would take Shaheed over Jahan Dotson personally. We're gonna have Moneyline Max talk some best bets next week, or not next week, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Right. Washington Commanders are his team. He will say who are the Commanders. But anyways, I don't know. I think Shaheed is worth a flyer for a bench spot, for $1 bench spot depth. What if Olave gets hurt? If Olave gets hurt, with Shaheed's big playability.
Okay, so I think if you have Olave, he'd be a good handcuff him.
He might be a good handcuff. I don't normally like handcuffing wide receivers because then you end up with 2 wide receivers on the same team.
But he's gonna just be.
I suppose
I would be comfortable having him just on my bench.
Injury insurance. Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about your guy.
Now, this
Oh, not
again, you keep calling people my guy.
You love this guy.
I do. I love this guy in terms of he can do every like he is in every position on the field.
To be fair.
And
Throwing
he's throwing touchdown passes, he's receiving, he's doing everything. But in terms of fantasy, you don't know when he's going to be quarterbacking. You don't know when he's going to bring in those points.
Early reports saying that they want to get him more involved. They want him catching more passes, which as a tight end, he's a quote unquote tight end because he lines up at running back, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver. He's all over the place. They want to get him more passes. They want to run him out of the backfield more, which could hurt Kamara's value and Kendre Miller's value. They want to get him the ball more. I don't know why every single year I see fantasy analysts hate on this guy.
They do.
They hate him.
And I have a habit of stashing him. And like I have hit it on the mark when he has had a game and he's been in my lineup, like just in like the flex or tight end on a bye week, throw Taysom Hill in there. He brought in 127 fantasy points last year. He didn't have any top 5 finishes. His ADP right now is tight end 19 with an AAV of $1. What?
I'm sorry. Jamie is hilarious over here. Seems like she loves guys who can do every position. Might need to buy yourself a Kama Sutra book.
We do say it's Anga Sutra bitters in our old fashions.
Yeah, because we're so used to the Kama Sutra. Oh, that's not way.
Oh,
that was good.
Lord.
That was
Okay.
good, Jamie. Appreciate that because that was good.
Anyway, at some point, like every year, at some point in the season, Taysom Hill has weeks where he is relevant in fantasy football.
Yeah.
It's just hard to know when it's going to be that week. And he's just a player. He excites me. It's exciting because he did have a game last season where he threw a touchdown.
Yeah. And he's had games where he's thrown and ran for him or ran and caught. I don't understand the hate towards Taysom Hill that comes every year. We see it from, and I'm not naming names, but we see it from people we follow, people that are big names, little names, whatever. Oh, we hate Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's being overdrafted, blah, blah, blah. He's been a top 12 tight end the last 2 years.
He finished tight end 10 last year.
And last year,
and I know it's hard to know when you're starting him because he did have some weeks where he would have hurt you. But at that, like that means somebody should be rostering him as a tight end 1 in your league at tight end 10.
Yeah. Now, guys,
saying that tight end 10.
Tight end 10.
Yeah.
I get the argument that guys going ahead of him are Luke Musgrave. You think maybe he'll be good. Pat Freiermuth is very talented on the Steelers, but I don't know how they're going to do with the tight end position. Cole Kmet, who we talked about, I love Cole Kmet as a football player, but this year as a fantasy football player, I think there are too many mouths to feed, and Cole Kmet's going to be the guy that drops. He's the one that takes the big dip.
Aside from, not to go on a side tangent on the Bears, but aside from like dynasty stashes or something for the Bears, I'm kind of staying away because I just don't know how our offense is going to do. I will say so much. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot to feed. There's a lot to see how it's going to.
I will say in a best ball draft, it's easy to get Caleb Williams and either or 2 of the 3 wide receivers. So DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, 2 of those 3 and Cole Kmet. I did that in one of the best ball drafts thinking, hey, if our offense is something, this might take off.
And if it's nothing, that lineup's not doing anything for you.
So you can't do underdog in Iowa. But as soon as we go over to Omaha or we're down in Missouri or Minnesota or South Dakota, all these places.
All the states around us.
Yeah. You can enter slow drafts and you can still draft from Iowa. Yeah. I told you this.
Well, I didn't listen to you.
Imagine that.
We were just in Omaha.
Imagine that.
Okay.
Underdog fantasy promo code OFFSGPN.
All right.
Let's talk about their other tight end.
One more thing on Taysom Hill.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned that you always see him getting ragged on, and I do see this, but I'd like to show me another player who's throwing touchdown passes, receiving in the wide receiver and the tight end position, and running the ball for touchdowns.
Yes.
Just show me another player who's doing that.
I agree.
I know it's hit and miss, but you just said, like, the fact that you're saying the Saints want to get him even more involved, then that's gonna translate to fantasy points.
Yeah.
And he was already tight end 10 last year.
You don't have to sell me on him. I'm on Taysom Hill. I don't know. You saying receives touchdowns and throws touchdowns, just a small side tangent. I know we need to hurry it up here because we got 2 more teams plus some whiskey and best bets to talk about. But
circle back to whiskey after this.
Okay.
Continue.
But if you watched UFL, which if you're familiar with my work, I was part of the UFL Gambling Podcast. They did an interview with AJ McCarron on the sidelines. How do you feel? Oh, I feel like shit because he was hurt. His ankle's hurt. And the next play they run, they try to throw it to him. What? What is going? Why are you throwing to an injured player? I don't understand it. Anyways, just throwing and catching both made me think of that.
All right. We skipped, unless I have short-term memory loss, we skipped right over what we're drinking today. Did you not ask me?
No, I thought about it halfway through. Yeah.
Are you going to ask me the famous question?
Miranda, what are we drinking today?
Today, we are having a Keeper's Heart week. Just throwing that out there. And today we're drinking Keeper's Heart RTD Old Fashioned. So ready to, I guess this is RTS, ready to serve.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This is really good.
I had it fine.
It's like, here.
You let me control this.
It's really good. We often don't like a lot of ready to drink, ready to serve cocktails.
Yeah.
And especially we're very critical of the old fashioned ones, and this is very good. And I just want to throw this out there. Like, stay tuned this week with us. We're going to be drinking something from Keeper's Heart on Thursday during Thursday's show. And we've got a little partnership release we're doing on Friday with Keeper's Heart.
Yeah. So follow Instagram and X and YouTube shorts, all that kind of stuff. We'll release it on there. But yeah, got a fun little partnership.
And we might be going, if all goes according to plan, we'll probably be at the distillery again on the 22nd.
Yes, that's correct.
And we'll be bringing home a barrel, not full of whiskey.
I know. Your cousin who lives up in Minnesota, I let him know, like, we're getting a barrel. And he says, I'll pick it up, but it might be empty when I get it to you. And
I was
like,
said, it'll be empty anyway when you pick it up.
But we've bought a barrel before, and you can still smell the whiskey. So I might try to take it apart and, like.
Do you know if we're getting a bourbon barrel or like a finished barrel? Like,
I don't have any idea.
Can we get?
I have no idea. We'll get what they give us.
I know.
We're gonna skip over Juwan Johnson. I don't think he's relevant. I think Taysom Hill is the tight end you want on the Saints.
He finished tight end 26 last season. He's not. He's just not.
Before we get to the other 2 teams, I got to let you know we're brought to you by Rhythm. And if you're betting on the NBA final props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA final game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and the team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning the algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player props. And it's all backed by AI data. So you don't have to endlessly scroll through a sports book. They tell you what you should be betting. And they also allow you to create your own custom NBA models so you can get AI-backed moneyline spread and total picks for every finals game. Start a free 7-day trial and start winning your NBA player props with Rhythm, available wherever you get your apps. That's RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the official ticket. They're officially, the ticket sponsor of MLB, or they have MLB tickets. And I love Game Time. It just makes it so easy. Killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, as it gets closer towards the first pitch, the price drops and you get to see your seat. So save up 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, Maybe go to a comedy show. Go see CJ Sullivan, the man in the box. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Miranda thinks she's so funny because we do have a show sheet of information that has those ad reads on it. Because no, I don't have that memorized. And she threw Alvin Kamara's photo right in the middle of the ad read there.
I did it.
I think you're so funny.
I am funny. Oh, I tried really hard not to laugh during that.
Let's talk about the team that kind of surprised everybody, made the playoffs, won a playoff game. The Bucs. The Bucs.
The Bucs.
Now their quarterback, he got paid big time.
He did get paid. Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
What did he get paid?
I think it was like a 3-year, $100 million deal.
I knew it was 100 million, but I couldn't remember exact terms. But that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I would love a 3-year, $100 million deal. I don't know what to do.
Contracted for that at work? That'd be great.
Yeah, right.
All right, he brought in 284.1 fantasy points last season. He had one top 5 finish. He's currently going at an ADP of QB21 with an AAV of $1. And last year he was QB 10. So we're sliding back 11 positions here.
Make it make sense. I don't get it. Why?
So Baker Mayfield finishes as QB 10. He gets a big payday. Like, he is making bank. They don't really lose any key pieces in this offense. In fact, they've added more talent at running back and wide receiver in their draft. And now he's being drafted at QB 21.
And I know quarterbacks got injured last year.
Mhm.
Like, say, Anthony Richardson, who only played, 5 games and then was injured, probably going to finish above Baker Mayfield if he stays healthy. But 11 spots? That seems drastic.
It does. Yeah, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with where he's finishing right now. I don't have, I haven't done all the in-depth rankings that we do every year, but I'm not sure where.
Have those, but
I don't have him at QB. I wouldn't have him at QB 10, but he's somewhere in between 10 and 20.
Yeah,
I don't see him after 20.
No,
I don't even see him towards close to 20 necessarily. Maybe right in the middle. Maybe QB 15.
So the 3 ahead of him, just right in a row, are guys that are building an injury history in Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and Kirk Cousins.
I would take Baker Mayfield over Aaron Rodgers.
Of course, we hate the Packers.
I would take him.
I know he's a Jet
over
now, but
Kirk Cousins.
We'll talk about Kirk in a little bit here.
Oh, you're like, you wouldn't.
And then above that, Jaden Daniels, the rookie, who has a lot of rushing ability, has a good arm, but I don't know if he's going to have success his first year. And then we have Trevor Lawrence, who again, he's had some injury history. Caleb Williams, I might take Caleb Williams over Baker Mayfield. Tua Tagovailoa, can he not get concussed again for 2 years in a row?
They did really well last year protecting him, and
he showed up skinnier. He showed up skinnier to camp this year, and people are saying that they miss chubby Tua. And shout out to Tua's brother, who just got signed by the CFL. But check out the CFL Gambling Podcast. If you're having a concussion history, I mean, he kind of bulked up to try to avoid that, and now he shows up skinnier. I think he's going to get injured this year. I'm calling.
Don't call that.
I don't want to put bad juju on somebody, but he's getting injured.
Well, that is I'm calling it. He's getting. How dare you?
I would definitely spend $1 on Baker Mayfield.
I don't like what you just said. I just don't like it. I don't have the time to hear that, Justin.
Okay. I don't apologize really, but
I know you don't.
Like Pee Wee Herman, I'm not really sorry. Anyways, that was probably more Kermit the Frog.
That sounded more like Kermit-ish.
You've never even seen Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, I think you've made me see it.
I've never watched it with you. So nice try.
You have short-term memory loss.
Mr.
You don't
Bean.
know. I'm not thinking of Mr. Bean.
Anyways, I'm drafting Baker. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you. Let's talk about running backs. Yeah, I think you should. You should draft Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He's not. If I can get him at QB 21, that's great. I'm doing that. That's a great value, I think, for him at that position. And of course, I'm spending $1 on him. So at running back, let's talk about Rachaad White. He brought in 235.9.
It was not like Kermit the Frog, as Jamie's saying. It was like Patrick Mahomes.
There.
Yeah, man, we just got to go. His voice is very Kermit-like. Anyways, Rachaad White.
So basically 236 fantasy points, one top 5 finish. His ADP is RB12 with an AAV of 37. And last year he was a top 10 running back coming in at number 7.
Can I take the lead on this?
Take the lead, Justin.
I'm telling you why I'm not drafting Rachaad White
Why?
as RB12 or for $37. Yes, he finished RB7 in fantasy football, but do you think the Tampa Bay Bucs give a shit about fantasy football? No. They were 32nd in the league in rushing yards per game. They drafted Bucky Irving. I don't think he's stealing the job from Rachaad White, but I think if you're that bad running the ball, you're going to want to get somebody else involved. They drafted Bucky Irving to get him involved, to try to elevate that running game. Therefore, fantasy football-wise, I think Rachaad White is going to lose some value, and I think $37 is drafting him at that RB7 peak.
No, we're drafting him at 37 at RB12.
Mm-hmm. I don't like it at all.
That's sliding 5 positions. I don't know how you do
11.
math.
He's up to 11.
He's up to 11?
Ahead of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's going to be a touchdown machine, in my opinion. Ahead of James Cook for Buffalo. I'm not doing it. I'm out on Rachaad White. I'm going to let somebody else suffer with that headache because I think he's going to get touches taken away from him. I think Bucky Irving is going to see the field. Rachaad White's
You
going
think
to have
Bucky Irving is going to take enough touches from him to not have him be a top
12 running back? Yes. He's not in my top 12. I would not
top 15.
I would,
maybe not $37, but top 15.
I would spend, let's say, $25 on him. I would draft him as an RB2. So that would be in the range. I'm not saying,
obviously, if you're drafting him outside of the RB.
Well, at RB12, that's RB1.
That's RB1.
Yeah.
So I'm saying top 15. Would you take him as a high-end RB2?
The potential of a high end because of the PPR value, yes. In a PPR league. In a standard league, no. Not at all.
So you're not completely out on him?
Not completely out on him, but I'm not in on him as an RB1 like he's going right now. No way. No how. No way, no how.
Low RB1. He's like borderline RB1.
You know what? And our one of our favorite listeners, Jamie, is on the same page as me. Haven't been drafting any Rachaad White this year, but last year he was my most drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you buying it? Are you just staying away from?
I would take a flyer on Bucky.
Take a flyer on Bucky.
I don't think he's going to take over the backfield. If Rachaad White gets hurt week 1, I think Bucky Irving's ceiling is higher than Rachaad White's.
Are you predicting another injury right now?
No, I don't. I'm not.
Are you saying it's happening
on this podcast?
What is wrong with you? Bucky Irving is currently going at RB 55. Is that still current? Because I know that Rachaad White.
Yeah, I know they changed a little bit since we threw this together. He's 56 now.
56. So he's slid down one. His AAV is $1 at going at that position. You shouldn't be spending more than $1 for him. I don't know. It is interesting that the Bucs had a top 10 RB7 running back last year, but were worst in the league.
It is
in rushing yards.
That's the thing with fantasy football. Like people think, oh, they don't run the ball well, or oh, this player was so good last year, fantasy football wise, he's going to be this year. But if you dive into the stats and see like, oh, they didn't run the ball well at all. He just caught a lot of passes and scored some touchdowns, which helped his value. They're going to want to make a change. They don't want to be the worst team in the league at running. And I think Bucky Irving is going to take touchdowns away. He's a downhill, pounded out type of
Mhm.
runner. He's going to take red zone carries away from Rashad White. I don't think he's going to take the passing down work away. Rashad White's still going to have that. But Bucky Irving, I think, has the potential of being a very good running back if he has the bulk of the workload. Will he get that this year? No. But I mean, it's also a guy you can trust with the ball.
He had an impressive college career.
1 fumble and 486 carries. You can
Mhm.
trust him with the ball. I don't know. I'm out on Rashad. I'm taking a flyer on Bucky, especially in dynasty leagues. And
I would take a flyer on him in Dynasty.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm staying away from Rashad White, though.
I'm
not going to say that.
I'm 100% out on Rashad White.
Okay. You better not bid against me.
I'll bid you up.
No.
Maybe, but I'm not. No.
No. All right. Let's talk about wide receivers. I feel like it's a little heated in here, guys. I just feel, I don't know. You set me off with the whole Tua stuff.
I keep forgetting we're so close to the camera. What is? I must sit back here.
Okay. Let's talk about Mike Evans. He brought in 243 fantasy points last year, 4 top 5 finishes. His ADP is wide receiver 19 with an AAV of $22. I need to look at these.
Nothing makes sense with the Bucs valuations.
No.
Is that what's throwing you?
Kind of. Well, like Chris Olave is wide receiver 11 going for $23. And now we have Mike Evans, wide receiver 19. 8 spots back going for $1 cheaper.
Yeah, make it make sense.
It's not making sense to me. What is
No.
happening out there? That makes 0 sense. But that is what the numbers are showing us. It's what the data says. I don't
Data.
understand it. Data. Either way is correct. I'm just going to say there's no correcting my pronunciation for it because either way, do you just want to fight? Last year, Mike Evans came in at wide receiver 5. So yeah, just much like Baker Mayfield, make this, like you said, make it make sense.
Why is he being
He's
drafted?
he's a top 5 wide receiver being drafted at wide receiver 19.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, both San Francisco wide receivers going ahead of him. That doesn't make sense to me. Only one of them has the potential of being better. Which one is anybody's guess, but I don't think they'll both be better than Mike Evans. Stephon Diggs, who's now part of Houston, going ahead of him. Stephon Diggs has to compete with Nico Collins, Tank Dell. I don't understand Mike Evans being drafted at wide receiver 19 after having such a good year last year. I don't get it at all. What?
He's past his prime.
He's not, though.
He's not, but he's past his prime age.
I don't like Mike Evans for one specific reason.
What?
So we ran a family league last year, and your mom drafted Mike Evans. And he had I
didn't even remember that my mom drafted.
Well, I do because he had a huge game against the Bears, which we watched at their cabin in the basement. And she kept cheering for him and laughing every time he scored a touchdown. And I was so pissed off because it was against the Bears. I would have been fine if he was scoring touchdowns and she was beating me against any other team. But you know me, Bears first.
As it should be.
Yeah. Anyways.
It was her first year ever doing fantasy football. She was really into the football last year.
And she won Weasel of the Year.
Which earned us a Weasel bumper sticker.
Which doesn't make any sense. But let's talk about their other wide receiver. Because that chicken is cooking and we got to check him.
It is the spatchcocked chicken.
Yeah, we got to check him soon. So let's
I know.
power
You're like, I'm
through.
going to just throw it on right before the podcast. Like, you're not going to check on it for that long. All right. That's fine. Let's hope we don't have things going up in flames out there. Chris Godwin brought in 167.7 points. How dare you?
I know my grill.
He had no top 5 finishes with an ADP of wide receiver 35 and an AAV of $12. Last year, he was wide receiver 30. So Mike Evans, way down to wide receiver 19 being drafted. Chris Godwin, being. Oh wait, no, he went down too.
But only 5 spots.
Only
That
5
makes sense to
spots.
me.
Yeah, because
You
he
have
wide
new
receiver
players,
30.
maybe not as many injuries. 5-spot differential makes sense. 14 from top 5 to wide receiver 19 makes 0 sense to me.
No.
I'm patient about this Mike Evans shit. As you might be able to tell, I don't get it. But anyways, sorry. Go on.
Just something to note here is that I do think that Evans could possibly lose some targets to their rookie, Jalen McMillan.
Yeah.
McMillan? Yeah. So I think that that's something to watch. Either if either Evans or Godwin gets injured, I'm not wishing an injury on anybody. I'm say that
you're
now.
an
No, I'm
injury.
not. I think that he's somebody that you might want to pick up in that instance.
Yeah, and he's going for dirt cheap. So you don't want that smash cock, spatchcock.
Not a smash cock. Who said smash cock?
Jamie, to dry up. You don't want the smash cock. Spatchcock.
Spatch, like a spatula.
If you've never spatchcocked a chicken, and hopefully this isn't graphic for vegetarians, but you cut their backbone out and then you flip it over and break the breastbone so that it can lay flat on the grill, and then it cooks more evenly.
The chicken is not alive. Like it's already. Well, you're like for vegetarians because you're breaking the breast.
No, the chicken is definitely not alive. He's been plucked and everything. What the fuck? Of course he's not alive. You think I'm just out here cutting backbones off of live chickens?
Why are you apologizing to vegetarians?
Well, because I was being graphic with cutting a backbone out. That might offend somebody. I'm not really not worried about offending anybody.
No animal cruelty.
I don't really care to
Sorry.
draft Chris Godwin. I do agree that Jalen McMillan could be an interesting play. They could get some targets if one of these guys goes down.
Tight end. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Kate Otten. He brought in 93 fantasy points last year. No top 5 finishes. His ADP is tight end 20 with an AAV of $1. And last year he was tight end 19. So he slid back a spot. Yeah, he came on at the end of last year
Mm-hmm.
and did better, but still only finished in that tight end 19. I did have to have him as a backup at one point last year. I know I picked him up off the waivers at some point last year. So I might be comfortable having him as like a backup tight end.
A bye week tight end.
Something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. K-Dot, and the thing with him is it's kind of like what I think Cole Kmet's going to be this year. Good football player. He's going to have some good games, but I see your photo, by the way. But fantasy football wise, probably not relevant. So let's talk about the Falcons.
Let's do it. Are you okay over there?
Yeah.
You okay?
I'm pausing notifications on Slack because I don't know if that came through on the our thing. Yeah, let's talk about the Falcons, who are probably the most improved team.
You wanted to talk about Kirk Cousins, so I'm going to start
Kirk
talking.
Chains. Put some respect on the name.
I do like Kirk Cousins. He's a good guy.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. All right. He brought in 154.7 fantasy points, 1 top 5 finish. He's currently going at an ADP of QB 18 with an AAV of $1. And last year he finished as QB 24, but he missed half the season.
Which is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at 19.3 points per game, finished QB 24, even missing 9 games, Kirk Cousins is a talented fantasy football player.
He's reliable. When he's here, he's reliable.
My only question is, does he have enough weapons? Because, you take him from Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison to Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. Is it enough?
To me, I don't know if it is.
To me, it is.
To you? We're going to disagree here, and that's okay.
Yeah. To me, it is. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a good year. I think they're going to utilize Bijan out of the backfield. I think Drake London is going to finally see some of the potential that everybody thought he was going to have. And I think I'm back on the Pitts passion, baby. Let's go.
No, I'm over it. I don't want to hear you talk about Pitts. I just don't want to hear it.
Well, let's talk about Bijan first.
Let's do. He brought in 217.3 fantasy points with 1 top 5 finish. He's going at an ADP of RB3. Last year, he was ranked RB9. So he moved up 6 spots with an AAV of $53. He said, just to throw this out there, Bijan said in a press conference that the new offense is going to focus a lot on the run, and he'll be used in similar ways as CMC is used. So this means like he's going to be catching more passes out of the backfield as well. I know you really want to talk here. I'm not going to let you. I think RB3 and $53 is a little high for him.
But I think it's worth it. I think a lot of people are like, oh, there were some games where Bijan had like 3 touches. Well, Arthur Smith was a fucking idiot. So, I mean, they have new coaching staff. Bijan's going to be the main focal point of this offense, as he should be. He was a beast in college. He's going to be a beast in the NFL. I mean, he already was a beast in the NFL to an extent. He finished RB9, but he's only going to be better. So I 100% think that Bijan is worth RB3. We just said we'd take him over Breece Hall. So that's RB2 right now. And the $53, yeah, it's high, but I think you're paying that premium because he has a RB1 ceiling.
So you're saying he's going to have more than one top 5 finish this season.
Oh, 100%.
To give him that ceiling.
100%. Jamie saying Mooney is a sneaky sleeper. As a Bears fan, I think Mooney is a pile of garbage. They do have another running back.
They do.
Who's pretty decent. I mean, 2 years ago he had over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, Tyler Algier. I always say it wrong.
Algier. You say it how you want.
Whatever. Marvinson. He brought in 128.6 fantasy points, 1 top 5 finish. He finished as RB 34, but he's going at an ADP of 51, RB 51 with an AAV of $1.
This is another one where make it make sense, because if Bijan gets hurt, this could be a top 20 running back.
Yeah, you're wishing injuries again?
No, I'm just saying if. And I like him right around that range he finished last year, 30 to 40. You know, that's 32 starting running backs in the league, right? I think he's still going to spell Bijan every now and then, and I think he has a lot of potential. He's still a young guy. I don't know. I think that 34 ADP of 51 is too low in my opinion.
I don't know where I know you said in that 30 to 40 range. I'm not 100% sure, but I would definitely spend $1 on him.
Chuba Hubbard going ahead of him. J.K. Dobbins. I don't understand that. Antonio Gibson out of New England. Like, I mean, he's better than all those guys. Trey Benson, who's a backup for the Cardinals. I don't know. I'm looking at this. Nick Chubb, who probably won't be ready for week 1. Talented running back, probably not going to play all season. I don't know.
You've argued your case.
I've argued my case.
And you don't have to convince me.
Hang on real quick while you're taking the yeah. Are you drafting Tyler Algier?
For $1? Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially if you end up getting Bijan. He is one of I don't normally draft handcuffs, but I think Tyler is one of the most valuable handcuffs because he's 2 years removed from 1,000 yards, So I think he's a valuable handcuff.
He's not going to get that again, though.
No, I'm saying as a handcuff, as in if you draft Bijan, you want to back up if Bijan gets hurt. He's valuable.
Let's talk about their wide receivers. So I'm going to kick us off with Drake London. He finished with 139.9 fantasy points. The old fashions are getting to me. He had 1 top 5 finish. He's currently going at an ADP of wide receiver 12 with an AAV of $22. So wide receiver 11 going for $23. Wide receiver 12 going for $22. Wide receiver 19 going for $22.
So in other words, everybody is projecting they're all going to be pretty close. Anyways.
So you could probably get some good talent for low dollars is what this is. Because I still feel like $22 for a top 12.
If he finishes that.
If he finishes there. Last year, he finished at wide receiver 39. I'm not saying he's finishing at 12. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if he did, that's really good value. I don't know. Everybody says that Drake London has a ton of talent and just hasn't had good quarterback play.
You know who else didn't have good quarterback play?
Adam Thielen.
Old balls Adam Thielen,
Yeah.
who finished wide receiver 25,
Mhm.
higher than Drake London last year. How many excuses are we going to make for Drake London? Like, I keep seeing like, oh, well, he's going to be good in this year now. I know Kirk Cousins is much better than Desmond Ridder.
Mhm.
100%.
It doesn't always matter though.
Who your quarterback is. Good wide receivers will be good no matter what, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know if I like him at the wide receiver 12 as a wide receiver 1 on my team. I don't know if I like him that because
Didn't
he
I
hasn't
trade
showed me
Drake
enough.
London to you?
Yeah.
I did.
Yep. I took a flyer on him. That was a good trade for both of us.
Purdy.
Yeah, and a super flex,
No,
you were
I had
hurting.
Brock Purdy.
No. You
No,
were
I got Brock
hurting
Purdy.
bad.
Yeah, but then we
quarterbacks.
saw who was on my injured reserve list.
You were still hurting. You had 0 quarterbacks.
No, I guess I did.
Who?
I don't remember.
Besides your injured reserve one, you had 0
Who was on my
quarterbacks.
IR? I don't even remember. This
I
was
don't know.
weeks ago. Anyway.
Are you drafting him at wide receiver 12?
No.
Yeah. 16th to 20th for me. That's what I'm going with.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And 16 to 19, he's still going to be an AAV of $22. So I would rather get him later.
Yeah. And I Darnell Mooney, Rondell Moore, these are other wide receivers. My one concern is that they don't have enough weapons for Kirk Cousins. But they do have a really good tight end.
No. No. And he is being drafted as if he's the shit. And it's not. Kyle Pitts. He brought in 110.8 fantasy points last season. No top 5 finishes. I'm sick to death of hearing about Kyle Pitts.
The Pitts passion
He's
is
currently
back,
being
baby.
drafted at an ADP of tight end 6 with
Smash
an
it.
AAV of $16. You're
Smash
spending
it.
$16 on Kyle Pitts.
100%.
You don't even spend $16 on Travis Kelce.
Well, no, he's old. Kyle Pitts, I would take.
You wouldn't spend $16 on Sam Laporta.
Yeah, I would.
No, you wouldn't have.
I would.
No, you wouldn't have. You
this
didn't.
year I would. This year
But
I
you
would.
didn't last year.
No, but this year I would. The Pitts passion is back, baby.
No, I don't want to hear this. This is old. You're broken record. Nobody wants to hear that. I don't want to hear this in my household. So think about that. AAV of $16. He was tight end 14 last year.
With Desmond Ridder throwing to him. Guys going ahead
His
of him.
rookie season, he only had 1 touchdown.
But 1,000 yards.
1 touchdown.
1,000 yards, though. Think of how good TJ Hawkinson was with Kirk Cousins.
He is not TJ Hawkinson, though.
You're right. He might be a little bit better. A
How
little more
dare
talented.
you? I would take TJ Hawkinson over Kyle Pitts any day.
So I do agree with his tight end 6 positioning because the guys going ahead of him, Sam Laporta, obvious, Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, and Dalton Kincaid. I get why he's 6th behind those guys. Behind him, George Kittle, who has injury issues. Evan Ingram
is solid.
He is. That's a tough one for me.
He's solid.
Then Jake Ferguson, much rather have Kyle Pitts. David Njoku, much rather have Kyle Pitts. I mean, I think he's being drafted appropriately.
I don't.
Is he outside your top 10?
I don't know. I just don't want to see his name.
I don't want to see his name. Oh,
We're just going to
funny.
disagree on him.
Let's talk about top options. Top
All right.
overall quarterback. I mean, you got Bryce Young, Derek Carr,
Baker Mayfield.
and
Baker Mayfield
Kirk
is my
Cousins.
answer.
As best valued or just top?
Both.
Both. I'm going to go top Kirk Cousins, but best value Baker.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Running back. The best is Bijan.
Bijan. Are
Yeah.
we really going to debate this?
No, you can't debate that.
I
Best
just don't
value.
think the value, $53 is a lot. It's something to think about. And again, maybe my opinion on this might change closer to the start of the season when I really get my rankings down for how I'm, I need to think on that. I'm not ready to commit him to RB3
Bijan number 1. Best value might be Kamara. Actually, for me, I'm changing Bucky Irving. He's going to vulture a lot of touchdowns, in my opinion.
I don't know. I can't answer best value. I need to answer.
I need to answer. Is it Tyler Algier? Bucky
No.
Irving. Rashad White at $37 can't be it.
It's not. I will say that.
Kendre Miller at $1. Alvin Kamara at 26. Is it Jonathan Brooks at 19? No. I think it's Bucky Irving. I think you have to go with Bucky Irving because I think he's going to be their goal line back and he's going to get other carries too.
Not Kendre Miller.
No, I'm not sold on him. I think Kamara's too good to take off the field too many times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'll get behind Bucky Irving.
All right. Who's a wide receiver you're targeting? Mike Evans. For
Yes,
me,
Mike
100%.
Evans. And
Chris Olave, who I also think is just matchup proof. Those are my two.
Yeah, and I think that for their value that they're both going at right now, hands down, they're both great value. I don't understand the value.
And dynasty-wise, I love
So-
Xavier Legette.
I do agree with that pickup. I don't like that I'm agreeing with you, but I do.
Top tight end and best valued tight end. Top tight end is Kyle Pitts,
No.
and best valued
No.
is Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill for $1. It just is a good value, and it's something that I will do in my drafts, most likely, if given the opportunity for $1.
Who are you going to pick as the best? It's not Jatavion Sanders. It's not Cade Otton. It's not Taysom Hill.
I'm going to drink my old fashioned because that name will not come out of my mouth.
Because it's Kyle Pitts.
For right now, for best tight end right now for best tight end with these crap teams, possibly. Is he going to do better than the other tight ends in this division? Yes.
Yes. That would be
I
the
will
best
say
tight
that.
end. All right. We already said we're drinking Keeper's Heart Old Fashioned. Ready to drink?
Can you change this to the photo for our?
No,
Why?
because we don't have the rights to this photo.
Can we get the rights to this
Keeper's
photo?
Heart was they ended up getting the O'Shaughnessy's two cousins, right?
Mhm.
Ended up getting Brian Nation from Middleton Distillery, Jameson Distillery.
They went to
They-
Ireland
Yeah,
to meet.
to meet with him. He was like, they reached out on LinkedIn and they're like, hey, we'd love for you to come to Minnesota and distill whiskey
Distill.
for us. And he
Leave
was like,
Jameson. You're
Yeah.
a master distiller at Jameson, but let's leave that legend of a
Right.
title and come to Minnesota
And
and
he was-
Minneapolis and distill whiskey. Imagine the kind of pull.
well, and at first,
Not the pull, but like the I don't know, something
money?
was seen.
The money?
Okay, to go.
but I don't think money was an issue because
Mhm.
Brian Nation was like, probably not interested, but if you're ever in Ireland, hit me up.
But
I'll
I mean,
meet."
like the pull, like
They were on a plane 2 days later.
yes.
Like,
And then they sat down, and by the end of that dinner conversation,
he
things are
decided-
happening.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about them throughout the week. So make sure you follow, and also make sure you check out, if you Google Old Fashioned Football Keeper's Heart, you can see the distiller interview we did with Kate Douglas
Mhm.
at Keeper's Heart. And like you said, we may be there if things go according to
Yeah.
plan.
And if you can get your hands on a bottle of their old fashioned ready to serve, you won't regret it. It's really good.
I don't regret any of their bottles.
No,
They have Irish American, which
they've
is
got a
Irish
lot that
and
they're
rye
doing, and
blend.
they've got a lot of exciting things that they're very innovative.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Mhm.
Let's do some best bets before we get
All
out of
right.
here because we were told to keep these a little shorter.
I
and
know
we're at 1 hour and 20 minutes.
we are failing, and the spatchcock chicken is
I know
on
So-
fire.
So best bets for the NFC South. Do you want to lead it off?
Yeah, my first
Okay.
bet was for the Falcons to win the division.
Yeah,
They're set up to win it with Cousins coming in.
I agree.
However, that's minus 105 odds.
Yeah. So if you're not used to betting, you have to bet $1.05 just to win $1.
Mhm.
Is basically what that means.
Yes. And even though our friend Cody with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast says you only pay the juice if you lose.
Cody, we haven't said sorry, Cody, for a while because we've been nice.
I almost did because you made a comment about a New England player.
Anyways.
Yeah, I just wanted to find something with a little longer odds.
Yeah. So
anyway, on DraftKings, I found under the division specials, exact order for division standings. First, Falcons, second, Bucs, third, Saints, and fourth, Panthers. That's how I think the season ends in a close division.
I like that.
And that's plus 500. In other words, like 5-1 odds.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So $10 wins you 50 plus your bet back. So $60. No, I really like that because I do think the Bucs won it last year. I think the Falcons made enough changes to be able to win it. Bucs should still be good. Then Saints and Panthers are still trash. I like it. I took this same bet last year. So for my first bet, sorry, jumping right into it. I took the same bet last year for the Vikings. And even after Cousins got injured, the bet was alive until the latter part of the season when finally it failed. But you're basically betting Cousins, if he stays healthy, to have a passing touchdown every game. It's a risky bet, but it's plus 850. So it's 8.5 to 1 for your betting Falcons to have one passing touchdown every game. And Cousins, I mean, he's a pro. There's a reason they paid him all that money. I like this one, even if it's to Bijan out of the backfield. I like this one to stay alive, and 8.5. I mean, that means $10 is going to win to 95. Spicy.
Yeah, spicy. All right, I've got a second bet for you. Comeback Player of the Year award. Jesus. Kirk Cousins, not Jesus.
I was going to say, Jesus won it a long time ago, I believe. It's a 3-day comeback.
Comeback Player of the Year award, Kirk Cousins. So that's another plus 500, 5-1 odds. They've paid him a bunch of money. And I know
a bunch of money.
A bunch.
This guy's made $400 million in his career, by the way.
He's got Drake London and some tight end on the team too.
Kyle Pitts.
Plus Bijan Robinson out of the backfield.
Respect on the name.
So Cousins was playing at a high level before he tore his Achilles, and they expect him to be good to go right away this season. Some other options for this are Rodgers, gag me, Burrow, and Anthony Richardson.
Accepted.
But I like Kirk Cousins' chances. Stop it.
You said it, not me. No, I like that bet. Last one for the night. I'm going to go Bijan Robinson. Most regular season rushing yards at plus 1,200. It's 12 to 1. The talent is there. The defenses can no longer just key on the run because they do have Kirk Cousins who can throw the ball. There were games that Bijan barely got used last year. It's a new coaching staff like we talked about. They're going to run him hard. He already has said that. They've already said they want to get him involved as much as possible, and I can see a scenario where he ends up leading in rushing. I wouldn't put a ton on this, but it is plus 1,200, so $5 wins you 65, and I think it's a good bet. I like it. So, Miranda, do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
This is another good one.
It was. You've made me very feisty. So you're in for it.
It's my job.
And I'm sure, just to circle back to the beginning or somewhere in the beginning of this, you'll be showing me sumo wrestling later.
Sumo wrestling is on your docket tonight. Let's go check this spatchcock chicken. My old fashioned is almost gone. How's yours doing?
It will be gone.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.